Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Thank you for joining us. Well, all of our guests are still with us, and we're helping NRIs this week buy real estate in the Indian market. We have a couple of questions that have come in from NRIs. Rajesh has written in. He lives in Dubai. He wants to buy an apartment in central Noida or Yamuna Expressway with a budget of 60 to 80 lakh rupees, an investment horizon of 3 years. Now, he's narrowed down his preferences to the Cape Town Phase 2, and he wants to know if it's a good option or if there are any other options you can give him in that area. First of all, is that a good place to invest in if he has a 3-year horizon as an NRI?
Well, I would say, specifically when it comes to Noida, I would say whenever there is a lot more activity which is shifting from other parts of Delhi NCR to Noida, we are very bullish specifically when it comes to Noida. And we believe there's a lot more value appreciation which is in the offing in terms of next 3 to 5 years. But I guess the time duration, what Rajesh has mentioned in his email, I guess he needs to look at a little longer duration for when it comes to Noida. And at the budget,
by longer, you'd say what, 6 years?
I would say anything between 5 to 8 years would be an ideal time to look at a real estate investment rather than looking at just a 3 years time.
In the budget that he has, are the 2 options that he's picked out the best options? Do you think there are better options?
You know, both are certainly good ones. He's talking about Central Noida versus Yamuna Expressway. Central Noida, or the region, the way he describes it, his budget is probably right. Yamuna Expressway is a lot cheaper. You'll probably get a 1 or 2 BHK for about 25 or 30 lakhs. This gentleman has a budget of 60 to 80 lakhs. He could also, in addition to Romano and the Supertech project that he was referring to, could also look at Sector 79. It's got Gore City project over there. All these areas within the Central Noida area, based on some of the fundamentals that Om talked about right now, are going to benefit from more employment, more corporate activity being conducted over there. And it's probably a good area to invest relative to Yamuna Expressway, also particularly given his budget.
All right. We have another question from Sushil Mittal, who's written in. He's an NRI based in the States. He wants to buy a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment in Agra or the Yamuna Expressway with a budget of 25 lakh rupees. Please give me options. That's his question. Jayashree, does he have options within that budget in the location he'd like to consider?
Agra is like, you know, when you invest in cities like Agra, there is not a huge amount of economic pull that is happening there. So if he does not know, have any other reason to go to Agra, but that he's heard that the Yamuna Expressway connects to Agra on the other side, I would actually not recommend that to him. Otherwise, Yamuna Expressway is in the NCR, and it is a slightly less expensive option compared to Noida. Noida is roughly about, I think, about 3,100 to about 5,800 per square foot, whereas in Yamuna Expressway, 2,500 to 3,200 is roughly the range that you have in Yamuna Expressway. So he would be able to get a larger apartment here, and there are every major developer is today in the Yamuna Expressway and in the Noida market.
Among the projects that you're seeing in Yamuna Expressway, is there anything there that you'd like to recommend to him in the budget that he has?
Go with the groups that have been delivering. You've got Supertech, you've got Amrapali there, you've got Asotech, good developers who have been delivering projects. And these are, you know, ultimately when you look for a project, you're looking at whether they will be able to complete and deliver to you.
So we've talked about a bunch of things. We've talked about what areas you should focus on and how you should do your research. Let's talk about paperwork. Now, there's enough paperwork to do. Getting a loan, buying a home, if I live in the city that I'm buying in. But if I live overseas, that's just so much more work to be done. What's your advice for someone who's looking to buy a property in India in terms of just doing that paperwork and, you know, doing all of those background checks and finding the right broker? How would you like them to do that?
So specifically when it comes to NRIs, when they're buying, I would rather recommend, until there is a specific need of going and buying a secondary market property, it's limit yourself to primary market property. In primary market property, it is at times the consultant you appoint, the broker you are dealing with, or the developer you are dealing with, they facilitate a lot of home loan work for you. They facilitate the documentation for you. You just need to basically identify the right property. After you do the identification, you need to go and do the registration. In the whole process in between can be managed over the phone and the email.
Karthik, quick question. If I'm an NRI looking to buy an investment in India, there's the option between a plot of land and an apartment building. Again, a plot of land requires a lot of maintenance, and I might not be around to constantly fence it in and make sure it's not being occupied. Which one would you recommend of the 2?
You know, it depends upon what your investment criteria are. Like you mentioned, if you're not allowed to take care of fencing and avoiding squatters from taking possession of there and so forth, it can be a big problem.
You agree, Om? Stick with the primary market, avoid plots of land as
I
well?
would say anything, land is of course the best investment you can do, and you should always look at better options in land. And when going for a gated community, again there are a lot of options in many cities which offer you, within a gated community, developer is offering you a piece of land with good infrastructure around. So if you can manage it, I think nothing can beat it.
All right, so we talked about finding the right builder. We talked about narrowing down on a location and, of course, doing your research. I want to talk about the legal aspect of it. I'm going to bring in Hemang Jariwala, who's our advocate, who's a property specialist. He's on our panel. Hemang, help us with a checklist that's essential for any NRI who's buying property in India. What sort of documents should they make sure the builder has and they have?
The most important documents which a flat purchaser needs to call from the builder is, first of all, the conveyance deed. Okay, the conveyance deed is the basic document on which the property is going to be developed. Index 2, which will show whether the property is owned by the builder or the land owners are somebody else. Once conveyance deed has been given, Index 2 has been given, then search report and title certificates, which will clearly show whether the property is a leasehold, whether it is a freehold property, whether there is any encumbrance, or whether there is any lien of this property with some third party. Thereafter, it is important to call for the development agreement in case where the builder is not the landowner. He has entered into a development agreement with the landowner, and that document is called the development agreement. Thereafter, what is important is to look for the approved and the sanctioned plans which are given by the competent authority. For example, the BMC, SIDCO, MHADA, depending upon the area and the land. Other important documents which are required from the competent authority issued to the builders is the IOD. Once the IOD is approved, thereafter goes the commencement certificate. Commencement certificate is a very primary document which authorizes the builder to start the construction. Suppose an NRI is buying into a building which is completed as per the builder, please call for the OC, that is occupation certificate, or the completion certificate. The competent authority will only give the OC after all the terms and conditions which were placed in the IOD are fulfilled by the builder. Other and most important document is the draft agreement. The draft agreement will show very clearly whether the agreement is balanced, whether the agreement is lopsided in favor of the builder, what are the amenities, facilities, what is the date of completion, what is the carpet area. After collecting all these documents from the builder, please go and see a property consultant or an advocate who deals in property related matters. He will be able to evaluate, scrutinize and analyze all these documents and give you a proper opinion for you to put your hard-earned money into any project or not.
All right, Hemang, thank you so much there for that list. That was Hemang, our lawyer. If you have a question for him, write to us on the email ID that's on your screen. Om, Karthik and Jayashree, thank you so much for spending time with us this week. And if you have any questions for any of our guests, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. On the other side of this break, we'll talk about the tax aspect of NRI investments in the Indian real estate market. Don't go anywhere.